Hey, welcome to Stunner Stage. I'm Stunner. This is my stage. You know, I've shot quite a few podcasts over the last few months, and this one tonight is probably one of my favorites. It's with a person that I've known for more than 30 plus years, considered one of the friendliest and most loved musicians in the Minnesota music scene. Many different bands, but the band that I remember most from him is Acheron. We're going to talk a little bit about where we started, how we connected, and just a little bit about his growing up and his thoughts on music. Without further ado, Mr. Tom Crixton on Stunner Stage. Welcome to Stunner Stage. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Mr. Tom Crixton. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's been a very long time since we've hung out. Well, we talked at the Overkill show.
Yep.
For about 5.
And I think the last time was an actual hangout was Club Underground at the Nopathy show.
That's true. That's true. And we were there in support for you. We've known each other for well over 30 years. Easily. And one of the main reasons that I do this podcast is there's a lot of people that I've met in playing and performing and just hanging out at shows, and you talk to them and you introduce yourself and you give them kind of like the high level of who you are.
Sure.
But then you don't really go a lot deeper sometimes. I mean, we've been in bands together.
Yeah.
And there's still going to be so much that I probably won't know. I know a little of stuff, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. If you don't know, he's going to kill me for this, but Mr. Croxton is probably known as one of the nicest guys in thrash metal. Just saying. I'm putting it out there on Front Street, man. Tell me...
Another shiny quarters.
Tell me the first time music spoke to you. How old were you, and how did you get into music?
So, in school, like grade school, there was this bully. I won't say his name, but he always brought in, he carried around this portable 8-track player.
Like the old TNT click ones?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember those.
It'd come apart and have 2 speakers.
Okay. All right.
And he and I are friends now, which is funny. Hated him in school. But he'd play all this cool music. And one of them was Rush 2112.
Oh, wow. How old are you?
Young. Probably, I don't know, it came out in 76, so maybe grade school?
Okay. All right, yeah.
And I just hear that crazy drum fill. Like, I was already playing drums in 2nd grade. I was the little drummer boy.
Okay.
Because I was the only one in class who could keep a beat.
So go back even further then. So in grade school you got introduced to Rush, but was music something in your house then because your brother plays music?
Me and Rich we had a band together. Rich is my older brother. We had a band called Voyager.
Okay.
Played all covers. But he and I were big Kiss fans early on.
Okay.
So, you know.
So were your parents playing music in the house? How did music really
My parents both were musicians. You know?
Okay. Because for me, it was Saturday or Sunday morning, Mom would play the Beatles or Carly Simon or something like that while we cleaned the house. So it was like, I learned at a very young age, maybe 5, maybe 6, that was the regular. Like when I was 3, I was fascinated by my grandfather's bugle, and I played his bugle all the time. But my mom really introduced me to music at a very young age too. So I'm seeing a lot of musicians where that's the case, where music is like in the house. It's so natural that then they kind of gravitate towards something.
Yeah.
So was it your older brother into music? Was it?
Actually, the whole family was. My dad, he's into the true blue country.
Okay.
So yeah, Johnny Cash. George Jones was his guy.
All right. So the acoustic guitar there. Would he play?
He played guitar. He played harmonica and accordion.
Beautiful.
And my mom, who in later life had horrible breathing problems, which ultimately,
Yeah.
But she was a tuba player.
Okay.
Like sousaphone. She was marched in the band.
That's awesome.
Like,
Like when I was a kid, like starting with the bugle, and then I think back then you got music class in first grade, second grade, third grade, and you'd pick an instrument and you'd rent it for the year and you'd play the instrument. I think I started with cornet, then I went to tuba, then I went to slide trombone just because I wanted to do that weird thing.
yeah.
So I did all that stuff, and then I think I went to guitar at 12. So for you, drums right away?
Yep.
Really?
They were happy. There was everybody wants to play drums.
Oh yeah.
So, when I went in, you have to audition and they try to see if you're able to pull it off. There was no problem. I'm a self-taught drummer.
Yeah.
I learned how to play drum kit before I was even in band. So
Oh, not just snare drum, paradiddles,
not
and all that
just snare
stuff.
drum.
Huh? Okay.
So my band director, we went through the rudiments and stuff, and I ended up kind of showing the class a lot of this stuff, or the other drummers. But he taught me how to read sheet music.
Okay.
So,
Reading charts and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Okay. All right. And how old were you there? What grade do you
that was
think?
through junior high all the way through high school.
So can I ask you this? Do you remember the name of your music teacher in grade school?
Yes.
What was his or her name?
That was Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Brooks.
Yeah.
I have talked to several musicians, and I think I've done 10 of these, and almost all of them can remember their grade school music teacher.
Yeah.
Mine was Mrs. Hubach. And I think there's something to that. Like, those are the people that lit the fire. I mean,
Yep.
your fire was smoldering, and then they'd come in and go, oh, well, here, add a little of this and add a little of that. And they become like heroes.
He was very supportive. I mean,
Yeah.
he pushed. We were at a jazz convention, Farmington East, and playing Woodchopper's Ball. He goes, drum solo. Like, it's not rehearsed,
And how old were you when you did that?
I was a senior in high school,
Okay.
but I won.
Ah! Look
I
at
won
you
the
go,
award.
man.
So
All right. And when did you, now you're not from the Twin Cities. When did you
No.
move here?
I moved here in July of '86.
And prior to moving here in 86, where was home?
I grew up outside of the Quad Cities in a place called Viola.
Viola.
940 people.
940 people, and you became the drummer.
Yep, my graduating class was 35 people.
I just find it so amazing sometimes how music can speak to somebody and inspire somebody, and it doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
It hits you, and it either become a fan and you
Right.
enjoy listening to music, or you'll find something in music that you can get out of it, whether it's popularity,
Yeah.
girls, whatever that might be, or music really
It's all about
freaking
jazz.
hits you, And for
Yeah.
me, it was music really hit me. Like I
Yeah.
said, 3 years old, playing my grandfather's bugle, and then going through all the instruments I could do in school.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 12, my aunt offered me, hey, during the summer vacation, why don't you babysit for me, and I'll buy you a guitar. I'm like,
Oh,
okay. So 12 years old, I get a guitar. And then, of course, I meet Wally Borgen at like 13, and then I quit playing guitar because he was incredible
Right.
at that age. But okay, so move up here in '86.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you?
I turned 19 up here.
And you moved up here with family, or did they come after?
They came over a decade later.
Really? Okay, so you're all alone in
It
the big
was
city.
all about music. I
And-
looked at other places, like went to Iowa City, a couple of different places, trying to find. I wanted to do this, and nothing really panned out at either place. Went to Chicago, and it was heavy blues at the time.
Okay.
There's a lot of great metal bands there, but that's too much city anyway.
So in '86, you wanted to play thrash, or you wanted to play hard rock?
I was open. I just wanted metal for sure.
Yeah.
Thrash came later. I'd say I consider myself a thrash drummer.
Yep.
But Priest, they're huge.
Yeah, you came from the hard rock, early metal side, whereas someone say 9 or 10 years younger than us they started with Metallica and Testament and all that stuff.
Yep, that'd be my band currently.
There you go. So there's that generational difference where we started out, me, when I went into metal, I started with really Slayer. Prior to that, I was a hard rock guy. So there was like the Def Leppard and the Foreigner and all that stuff.
Yep.
But then when it started getting really kind of party rock, I kind of was like, I don't think I like this. And, found Slayer and found Celtic Frost and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Good
so
stuff.
So a little later for me that I got into thrash, but always into rock. Started out with Carly Simon and the Beatles. So, started light and got heavier. So you come here in 86. What's the first band or what's the first thing you did?
Acheron was my first band.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay. And now that was Minneapolis.
Yep.
So how long did it take before you were playing all the clubs? There wasn't a lot of clubs then.
No, we'd play with Mirage and Ryan's all the time.
Yeah.
Acheron played First Avenue Main Room a lot.
Okay.
We
only got the Main Room once. I think once in one Metal Massacre.
Those Metal Massacres, yeah.
Yeah, and we did entry a couple of times for those, but we were just, I don't know what it was. I think we were afraid to come across the river or something. We were St. Paul kids and we didn't interact well. There was a time when Cromlech came across and played a couple shows with us, and we played a couple shows with them later on.
Yeah.
It just, great guys, great band. We just didn't draw the crowds didn't want to hang together. It's a weird thing for us.
Yeah. I'm still buddies with Pat, by the way.
I got him. He's a Facebook friend. I know he's into rocks. He likes geology, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, agates and things like that. I haven't really chatted with him in ages. Now that I've sold my soul to cover bands, doing that stuff. So when did Acheron end?
96.
96. So you had 10 years?
Yep. 86 to 96.
Okay. I think we might have done 93 to 2000 or 92 to 2000. So you guys definitely were established before we did anything. Wow. I want to go back to, what was your very first concert that you went to?
Here?
Period.
Oh, period. Wow.
I'll start it out while you're thinking. My very first one, I think I was 12 or 13 or maybe even 14. And I took the number 9 bus down 7th Street to the Civic Center and I saw Motley Crue and Loudness.
Yep, I saw that show, but down there.
Oh, yeah?
And they had Lock and Roll on the back of their shirts.
Yep, I remember that. And I walked in during Rock and Roll Crazy Nights because I was late because I took the bus. But I just go, man, these guys are good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Motley Crue was doing Theater of Pain. And that was like the biggest, most popular thing at the time. So it was great. But that was my first one that I went to all by myself. I hear everybody else talk about they had a buddy, parents dropped them off, all that. I never got that.
Yeah, same with my mom was afraid I was going to get crushed like the Who, so she was really against it. I'd sneak out with friends.
Okay.
Like, we're going to have a sleepover, okay.
Just to go to a concert?
Go to concerts, yeah.
So what was the first one?
Probably Priest UFO.
Really? You got to see UFO?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That would be cool.
YNT, I remember, was early on, Twisted Sister.
Oh, my gosh. UFO and YNT are the two bands that I wish I would have seen.
Yeah.
So more to you there. What do you remember most about, let's say about YNT show? When you went to YNT show, what do you remember most?
Dave Manichetti.
Yeah?
How he can just command, he can sing, he can play leads. He's just, wow, that guy's...
Yeah, he's a shredder and David Coverdale all mixed in.
Right. The whole band, though. I have Leonard Hayes. I love his style.
And the harmonies.
Yeah.
Had great harmonies, too.
Yeah.
YNT, check them out. They signed a poor record deal that really shattered the band, sadly. And that's where it comes down to. He's even said it in several interviews. They signed with A&M or Chrysalis or whatever, and they had no idea what to do with them.
Yeah, A&M was the label they were on.
They had some, they gave them the heavy metal robot thing, and it's like they didn't know what to do with them.
Right.
But, YNT is amazing.
I do like that album, though, in Rock We Trust.
I like all the music they did.
Yeah.
The video for Summertime Girls, it's a very interesting video. Yeah. And then why the robot's even in the thing, I don't know.
That was their Eddie.
Yeah, right. It was all right. It was good.
But the albums after that, kind of the grease slipped away a bit.
But I think part of it, if you ever check out his interviews, is like they didn't know what to do. It was all anything they could do to explode, and people liked them. Every time they played, it was like all this hype, but the record didn't do anything because nobody pushed it. So anyway, Y&T. All right, so we got the first concert. And then when you got up here, how did you meet the guys in Acheron?
I can show you a picture. I had my girlfriend at the time took a picture of me under the old Hennepin Bridge.
Okay.
The one that was falling apart.
Yeah.
And I went to Torps with my little flyer and put it up there.
Oh, drummer available?
Yeah. Put that out. At the time, Wade Laszlo from The Unholy put out something in the city pages too. He saw my ad, I saw his ad. I'm like, let's see what it's like.
Okay.
And that was the start of Acheron.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andy Cummings from, what band was he in back then? Aryan Beast was one. Remember them? Yeah.
Yep.
Pat McVeigh, he was in it. Fred McGinnis.
Wow.
We weren't the thrash machine until Dvorak and Coker showed up.
And Coker now is doing that hybrid theory.
Yeah.
He's having
a
a
killer
blast. He's having a blast doing covers, doing a tribute, but drawing people.
Yeah.
And it makes it fun, in our older years to play in front of people is always fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so after Acheron, now you went to Impaler. Was it right after Acheron?
No. After Acheron, we had something really nice come up, and everybody left the band except me.
Okay.
They all went to this cover band, the lure of covers. And I tried to get them to stay. They wouldn't stay. And I was going to quit music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And this is 86?
Yeah. 96.
Oh, 96.
Yeah. And just completely fed up.
Yeah.
Done. Putting that much work into a band, and it just...
Well, you were the driving force behind Acheron from what I remember.
I was the only constant member.
Yeah, and you were always the guy promoting and marketing and booking.
Yep.
And it's kind of the same thing it was with Avalanche. It was like I would tell the guys, show up to practice, show up to shows, I got this. And I didn't realize when I said that how much work that really was.
Yeah.
Probably
why we got along so good.
Probably because we both felt each other's pain.
Yep.
Later on in life, when TNT was doing its thing, I was showing the cracks in the facade, and Wally's like, "Let me help." And then within 2 months, he's like, "Jesus Christ, man, this stuff is it's challenging."
Yeah.
But but you love it. So you're going to give up music in '96.
Yep.
What were you going to do?
I don't know. Just not deal with the music anymore.
And what happened?
And the Unholy just lost John Ryan, if you remember him. I think he passed away. I'm pretty sure he did. So they had shows, and they were still trying to get going. And, he was in Acheron initially, so I already had a friendship with him.
Yeah.
So, I said, I'd fill in for you. My fill-in lasted 3 albums.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were there for a minute.
Yeah, and then I worked at Ticketmaster, so I was able to get some really cool tickets a lot. One of them was Kiss in Cedar Rapids.
Oh,
and
wow.
we just saw a reunion tour here in town. And, Unholy opened for Impaler a couple times. And I said, well, I know. Well, Tad was was that Crepitus? That was Crepitus at the time. Early Crepitus before you.
Yeah.
And he was inviting Brad, and I said, well, I know Bill's a fan too. Why don't you bring him along? And we all went, and I found out that Aaron had went to Seattle. He moved to Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Had a kid, so.
Okay.
And they had Mike from the Quincy Punks on drums.
Yeah.
And all they said, I feel bad about this because it was Mike, Mike kind of got thrown out. I said, I wish I would have known you were auditioning drummers. I would have liked to try it out.
Oh, wow.
Then we went and saw the concert. The next day or two, Bill calls me and goes, so you want to be an Impaler? Like, well, let me think about that.
So was there even an audition?
We got together to see if we were compatible. It wasn't really an audition.
Right.
So, they had me learn like 3 or 4 songs in
And you were in there for quite a few years.
18 years.
18. I know that I joined Crepitus somewhere in that tenure because it was the My Apple Studios upstairs.
We're sharing the room.
Where you were sharing that room. And that's where I met Sean Penny and, and your brother Dave and all that stuff. And Coker was in there for a second. It was like a blip. I remember we went on the road to Topeka and Wichita.
Yeah.
With Impaler, I believe. I think that was with Impaler. Now
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the chamois filled with blood that was supposed to look like intestines. I remember that back then. That was fun. That was a good trip. But I also remember Eric. It was really culture shock at the time because I think he was still wearing the leather vests.
Yeah.
And the Drakkar.
Yeah, the arrowhead necklace.
Yeah, and it was just like, I was so not that guy anymore, but he's such a cool dude.
He's great.
Yeah, but that was a fun time to go on the road. I mean, even though it was, a couple little clubs, just two dates, but it was a blast. After Crepitus and after Impaler, now, did you get offered, was it the Thor gig that made you leave Impaler?
That's a complicated story.
Gotcha.
There's band. I'll tell you that there was bands in between. Like there was Elder God, which is still while I was in Impaler, Elder God, Hex Vortices. Hex when Andy left, Hex became Domitium, which is active.
Which is active now. Yeah.
And Matt and I have a project called Galaclass Scourge, but there was a point where. There was the band just detonated. Things were really...
Sorry, I had a tickle there. So there was a point where...
Yeah. Impaler detonated. No doubt about it. It was bad. A lot of hurt feelings, things that just... If we would have just sat and talked it out, it would have been great. Okay. But we didn't. Kyle got let go. I think Bill thought, because I was still friends with Kyle too, I think Bill thought that I had an issue with him, which I didn't. Which I'm happy to say it's resolved. But at the time, oh my God, it was... and I remember having a argument with Bill, and I quit. Like, I'm done.
Shows on the calendar and everything still?
And God, when I left, I'm at work when we're having this conversation, and I'm just like, what have I done? It sucked, and I had to go and clear my head. And I said to my coworker, I'll be back in a little bit. So when I came back, like, okay, I'm all right. Then I got a call from Thor.
Same day?
Same day, like an hour apart. Hey, do you want to play for Thor and go to Pori, Finland with Testament?
So how did Thor get your name, number, and contact?
We did a zombie pub crawl.
Oh, okay.
And Thor was headliner. We're right below him. And, you ever play in those?
Not the actual zombie pub crawl. We've played pub crawls, but we'd always play like, it was TNT days, and we would play Mace Lax, things like that.
Gotcha.
So they'd come in and go out, but it wasn't like part of the thing.
So they were huge events. You'd have to come in, sound check, and then once you're parked in there, you're there for hours.
Yep. Hurry up and wait.
So I don't know where the rest of Impaler went. All of a sudden, me and Thor are just there like, hey, let's go to the depot and get a bite to eat next door. And hit it off, I remember him back in the day, and I kind of rolled my eyes like, that's cheesy. But it's glorious cheese now,
Yeah, the Viking rock,
right.
man.
Killer frontman. He's
Is
awesome
he still
frontman.
blowing up the
No,
water
no,
bottles
no,
at
no.
that age?
No.
Okay. All right.
He still bends stuff, not the big stealing. Like he had to go through all sorts of surgeries, like fix his teeth.
Wow.
He had messed up ribs and stuff from the jackhammer and the cinder blocks.
Really? Yeah, he just
he
kind of
went all
abused
out.
himself.
So yeah, he stripped it down a bit, but he still wears the armor and that kind of bit.
Cool.
But anyway, we're there. This is 7th Street entry because Aaron Carter's got the main room.
Okay.
And we're Impaler's playing, and I feel a tap on my back.
Oh yeah, because that 7th Street
Yeah,
entry,
that curtain.
it's open
Right behind
behind
the drums,
you.
yeah. And I turn around and there's Thor, full armor. You're effing awesome. Like, dude, thanks.
Very cool.
And I think that
started it.
yeah.
So, 18 years. I mean, listen, Avalanche went maybe 12.
That's a good run.
But when you go, and I've kind of said it before, you start a band, you start writing music, you start hanging out, you start doing this, you start playing shows, you start playing at other venues, you start touring, you start all these things. There's so much passion and drive through all of that.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where if you're not doing more and growing more and growing more, that's when the friction starts happening. Like it's the same thing over and over and over again sometimes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the case with the 18 years in Impaler, but I can tell you that things that wouldn't upset me at year 2 really upset me at year 10. That type of stuff. But you don't think that's where any of that stuff was with anybody in Impaler at the time?
No, we did. We toured a lot. All over. I mean,
You were doing
the
East
miles we
Coast
put
stuff, and yeah.
Had a Europe run
Did you really?
in 2008. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
Played
awesome.
Hamburg, Pusenik, Germany. It was a blast. There with
The best I've
Exodus and
gotten,
Sodom.
I toured down to California, up to Washington, and back. That was the best I ever got.
Really?
And when I say that, it's like maybe 12 shows. A lot of road time.
Yeah.
So for you, I mean that's awesome, man, because we all wanted that. But we had in the Avalanche days we had guys that had kids and had real jobs and couldn't just up and dip. So we stuck with them, and
That was the
it was
Acheron
fun.
thing.
It was fun. I mean, we had a good time. We wrote amazing music that I still
You did.
put it in every now and again and go, man, we wrote that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a great album, Scratching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with the Thor thing, you get to go to Finland, and then you did a couple of tours with him, right? You became like a full-fledged member for how many years?
Still technically a member.
Technically, okay.
COVID derailed the band for sure.
Yeah.
He had health issues. His wife had health issues. So, things got put on ice quite a bit. I mean, technically I'm still a member, but just we're not doing anything.
Do you still hear from him every
once
in a
every
while?
holiday he'll text
out.
me like, oh, happy Thanksgiving, even the Canadian Thanksgiving. Like, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Thanks, buddy.
It's like I'm not Canadian, but thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
He is. He's, both.
I should grab the water. I've been dealing with this tickle all day. So we kind of, I just love the story. So we jumped into all these stories. But when you came up here in '86, one of the things that I always want to ask and want to know is, who are some of the bands locally that you saw that inspired you to be in a band and want to be in a band?
That I saw here?
Yeah.
I was already in a band, so.
So when you moved here in a band?
No, I started the band here early on.
Right. But going out to clubs, before you started gigging, there had to be some people there that were doing it before you that...
Oh, yeah. Power Mad.
Okay.
Kubla Khan, not the Texas one, but...
Right. Kevin Itzo?
Yeah. And there was a lot of... Early on, there was great bands.
Yeah.
Like, Chaos Warband. Remember them?
I do. I still hear from, is it Jimmy Loco? I think every now and again. Reaches out and says hi. Keegan was in that, I believe, wasn't he?
I don't.
I'll have to look at my notes. I'll have to check them out. But
Sucker Punch.
Yep. Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
Good old Mikey.
I went to the Dio documentary at AMC.
Yeah.
And ran into him.
The last time I went, I didn't go to the Dio documentary. I went to it was at Alamo Draft House, and it was the bang your head against the stage, the Exodus one.
Oh yeah.
Where what was it?
Murder in the Front Row.
Murder in the Front Row.
I was there. I saw that.
Really? I wonder if we were at the same showing, but all I remember was it was like $80 because I went in there hungry and I ordered like a meal and a drink and popcorn and all. I mean, it was great. I got all those things, but it was an expensive night, you know. So that's pretty cool. So when you got up here, you met a bunch of bands. Now, did you actually like introduce yourself to them, start playing with them right away?
No. Early on, I remember this is a crazy story here. When I was trying to find a band right before Acheron started, dude from Jet Screamer, Tom Kelly.
I don't know Tom. I mean, I know Carlos. I know Happy.
Seems like that was his name. They were having drummer issues, and I was supposed to meet him at the Caboose.
Okay.
Because they were going to go there, and I went, and I didn't see him. I don't know if he stood me up or just something happened.
Right.
But anyway, Extreme was playing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they weren't known. It was before their album.
Did you know?
I had no idea.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, maybe a year later they exploded.
That happened. I mean, when you were in the scene, it was kind of crazy. I remember I saw Disturbed at Ryan's on like a Wednesday or Thursday night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's with this guy in the jumpsuit?
Yeah.
You know, and the ooh ahs and all that stuff. It was really weird. And they had
the stolen name.
yeah, right. And then a couple of years later, they're huge. But that's the time it was.
Yeah.
So you went and you saw Extreme there, but never followed up with the Jet Screamer guys?
No, just he didn't show up.
You probably wouldn't have wanted that anyways. Covers, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they
were eager to start a band.
They were a cover band, from what I remember back in the day. And then Mike Schneider, Happy from Hairball, that was his band.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and then Carlos, David Rodriguez, singing, and now I think he's in Atomic Playboys. But yeah, I remember the Jet Screamer stuff.
I guess I just assumed they found a drummer and didn't know how to tell me.
No? Well, we can ask.
Yeah, I would be curious.
Yeah, right. So then, okay, so we're like all the way up to today. So tell me what's going on with you now. Obviously, it's the Medium.
Yeah.
That's your main thing.
It is. I have the good fortune to play with incredible musicians again. Not downplaying anyone.
Right.
Just for what I do. And, a drummer is basically, you keep the beat. That's the basic job. That's the cake.
Yeah.
I like a lot of frosting. As you all know, I overplay everything. And
I always liked it.
Because that guy.
There you go, right there.
I found musicians that just excel. They're like Matt and Brian Holtzkamp. We got Micah Devereaux on vocal from Ageless Warrior. So
okay.
He's got the Halford-esque voice.
Yeah.
So
how long has that been going, and how many releases?
Bass. What?
How many releases and how long has it been going?
The three of us, Alan, Matt, and myself, we're in Hex, Vortices, and that, transferred over to this, because we're like a tight core.
Yep.
And we brought Brian and Micah in.
So you basically brought in a guitar player and a singer to replace the guitar player singer you had.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, that was Andy Wolfman's. He did both. He was a singer guitar player.
Yep. So, not to go crazy or nothing, but how did that end? Did Andy just want to retire, or what happened to that?
Andy got disillusioned with metal for a while.
Okay.
He didn't like the scene. There was people I had fans that would shout at Impaler at shows.
Yeah.
It lit him on fire.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
So he hasn't been in the band for... I'm like, dude, they're just fans.
I get that, I mean, and it's hard for some people to handle that too. But I mean, he wrote some killer riffs, man.
He did. He's
had great guitar tone.
Absolutely.
Very cool guy.
I'm definitely proud of my stint with him.
Yeah,
I jammed with him for 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple of it's like live streams that you guys did.
Yeah.
And usually a live stream I'll watch for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I think I watched one of your guys' live streams for like a half hour.
Wow.
Because it was just like killer riffs, great beats,
Yeah.
There was a time where you were looking for a bass player, and I was wanted to, but I started playing bass late. I was lead singer in Avalanche till 2000, and I think I picked up the bass in like 99.
Yeah.
So my talent on bass is I can play any kind of 80s stuff you want, but you start getting into prog, or you start getting into like super thrash, I can't play the Avalanche stuff. We've been talking about maybe re-recording some things, and Wally's like, why don't you just learn? I'm like, no thanks. Walter liked to write stuff that was so psychotic. I think he was challenging both Jeff and Wayne at the time to like, can you play it? Give it a shot. And they would go back and forth on that all the times too. So, but that was a big thing for me, is like playing bass. I probably would have reached out to you guys because I loved it. It was really good. Then you found I think at the time, was it Dan that you got in there?
Dan was our bass player early on.
Okay, so it was after Dan left that I was thinking about it. I think.
Dan, his career took off, so.
Okay.
Plus, we were getting a little bit more experimental.
Okay.
He wasn't so comfortable with that.
Yeah, because I think he was originally in Cold Storage with Chris.
Yeah.
So it's all a little incestuous.
It is.
Been in a band with you a couple different times. I mean, Lead Penny. How did that even happen for us when we joined Lead Penny? That was kind of crazy.
It was a benefit for MD.
Yeah.
Because Joel and Troy.
Yeah.
And they asked me, do it. Like, of course I do it.
Yeah.
And that ended up being a long time.
Yep. I'm not sure if I was there for that right out the gate or if I came in a little later or something, but, heck, me jamming with you and Sean, of course. And I'd probably still be doing it if every show wasn't 90 plus minutes away.
Right.
Because it was fine when it was one every 6 months. But then it started picking up where they wanted to do like every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And it's 90 minutes one way to get there. Then we started doing Bryceland 2 hours away to get there.
Yeah.
Blue Earth kind of stuff. It was like, I can't do this, guys. Play till 1 a.m, then drive home till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It just got, but I loved it. It was like 60s, 70s, a little bit of 80s. That was so great.
I'd always get stuck playing the Wipeout drum solo.
Of course. They were like, he could do that. Go for it, man. I learned how to walk. I learned how to bass walk in that band.
I remember you started doing that like it was Billie Jean. Like, just give me a basic 4 on the floor.
Yeah.
And you started doing it. And the crowd goes, oh my God.
I've tried to do that in a couple other bands and they don't like it. They're like, why are you doing that? Because it's funny.
It's funny, yeah.
Any straight 4/4 beat, you can play Billie Jean to it, and everybody in the crowd's going to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was good times.
Imagine Dan stripped my butt.
So now with Dominium, anything else going on? What else is happening?
Matt Allen and I also have a project called Gallow Glass Scourge. I just finished the drum tracks to that. My 31st album.
Your 31st album.
Yeah.
Look at you. Full length? All full lengths?
Full length. Yeah.
We're not counting live records?
Well, Impaler albums were around a half hour.
Okay.
Slayer length, but...
Yeah. Hey, it's an album, man.
It's an album.
I mean, what was Slayer's? Rain of Blood was like, what, 22 minutes or 23 minutes?
I think, yeah, something like that.
I remember going, that's insane that it's only that long.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like the greatest album they ever put out. I mean, not the most commercial, but still the greatest album in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going to see Rain and Blood tour, Slayer, at First Avenue. and Overkill opened. And
Yeah.
I think it might have been their Taking Over tour. And I had never heard or seen them before. And I'm there to see Slayer, and Overkill comes on. And by the time they were done, I'm like, I can go. I just saw the most incredible band ever.
Overkill rips.
I mean, Bobby Blitz running out to the stage. I mean, it always started with just music. They'd always pick a song that had like a minute of music.
Yeah.
And then he would come flying out on the stage and hit that microphone within a second of when the vocal was supposed to start.
Yeah.
And he'd always just deliver right there.
Yeah.
Now, when we saw him last month, I was a little disappointed. It's still Overkill. It's still Bobby. But there was no Dee Dee.
Yeah.
And
There's the Fear Factory bass player.
yeah. And now they had that rhythm player that's been with them for years, and he wasn't there either.
Since Ironbound, yeah.
Yeah. So I was shocked because there's no warning on that. It's just all of a sudden it's 4-piece, and the only person that's really Overkill. I mean, Dave Lynch's he's been there forever, but it's Blitz.
Yeah.
Which still sounded great, but more than Overkill.
Yeah.
It made me sad.
Yeah.
Still bought the shirt. Still
I did
watched the whole show. King Diamond was amazing.
Oh yeah, big King Diamond.
I mean, this guy is 68 years old.
Yep.
And he's still hitting all the notes.
He's
getting help. Little help.
Yeah, but he's definitely hitting them.
But he's hitting them.
His wife did like harmonies, like just to back it up.
So that's his actual wife. That's
The one you saw, that was Mercure.
Yeah.
But his wife, I don't know if I pronounce her name, Livia or something like that. She was on all the previous tours. Like
I remember
since
the
surgery.
Abigail one. I remember
that was her
at the
for
Myth.
sure.
It just blows me away that this guy is so incredible still at 68 years old. Where there's a lot of singers out there way younger than that still can't do what they did in their 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Don Dokken's music, but I can't stand seeing Don Dokken live anymore.
Right.
You know, I mean, don't hate me, but he can't hit it.
Yeah.
You know, sadly, like Firehouse, you know, CJ's gone, but until he died, he could still hit every note.
Yeah.
I mean, every skyscraping note he was hitting all the way up until the end.
You see the Invincible Shield tour, Priest?
No, but I did hear the new album, and he's still wailing.
Yeah.
It's like some people just, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And maybe it goes back to like what I said, where sometimes you play music to get something out of it, and sometimes it's just part of your soul.
Yeah.
You know, and those people that play it to get something out of it, maybe they take a little too much time off, and if you don't use it, you lose it. And then you got other people that it's in their soul, and they're just always going to push and always going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do I know? But it's just, you know, over 50-some years, this is what I feel. So, well, you got anything else? You got anything for me, Tom Crixton?
I do, actually. Speaking of Avalanche
Yeah.
and Scratching at the Surface, did you ever plan on re-releasing that, or?
I don't think we ever planned on putting it out again. This costs money, and we didn't sell the first 1,000.
Oh,
You know, I mean, we had a little push when it was. I mean, it's before the internet, before really cyber sales. Back when it was fanzine stuff, we had a mailbox in St. Paul on White Bear Avenue, 1666 White Bear Avenue was our post office box. And, you know, we had some stuff that went to South America, to Japan, to France. There was some real interest for a minute, you know. But again, we couldn't commit to anything.
right.
Had we in 95 started touring, we would have been late to the party, but we would have still been at the party.
Yeah.
And we just never really did that. So, I mean, Scratching, it's all on YouTube
Yep.
if you ever want to hear it. But as far as re-releasing, I remember there was a time, probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago, where I was searching Scratching at the Surface online, and there was some guy in Europe that was selling a vinyl. And I'm like, we never made a vinyl.
Yeah.
So somebody liked enough to bootleg it and put it on vinyl.
That's cool.
I would have bought one.
Yeah.
They were like $80. I was like, I would have bought one though. just so I could have a scratching at the surface vinyl.
Yeah.
I will say that, and this is kind of a hot take that may or may not happen. I found 4 songs that we were working on when the band kind of imploded in 2000. And I originally made just a really rough mix of it back and gave it to the guys maybe in 2004, 2005.
You gave me a copy. I have one.
So that was out there, the unreleased stuff. Well,
That's Soup on drums, right?
yes. And I found the DAT tape and recorded it again, or had Will at 1459 digitize that. So I had that. And I gave it to Wally, and it kind of sparked up his interest, and we're going to re-record those 4.
Nice.
So we will actually put something out, hopefully, in the next year. But again, we're 50-plus years old with busy lives, and who knows when we'll do it.
Here's the reason I ask.
Yeah.
At the 30-year mark, that was 2023, we took Pain Dominion, the Acheron album. And I remember we recorded it at Blackberry Way Studios, and we ran out of money while we were in there. And there was a track on there called Shadow Panic that was unfinished.
Oh, wow.
And Sean did vocal on it, so we actually had it. So we took it to Adam Tucker and had him remaster it because I had the 2-inch tape reels.
You still have that?
I do, yeah. And oh my God, the remaster sounds incredible. And he took those, he had to bake the reels because they were old.
Yeah.
And he salvaged that song, and now it's the bonus track on there.
Wow.
And he made it sound like it was always part of that album.
See, I had horrible accountability. Like I think we had 2-inch. We had 1-inch when we did scratching. And those reels were in my closet, in my basement, and they got destroyed. Moisture and stuff like that. So it's just, I didn't realize. You got to cherish that shit.
Yeah.
I'm just we'll do another one. I'll just put them in there. We'll grab them later.
There was water damage on mine because my water heater went out. Poured water all over my basement.
And they still just baked it, and it was fine.
Yeah, they were saying that the box was ruined, but the tape was fine.
Wow. Yeah.
And I have a copy I'll give you.
I'd love it. And when we finally do this, re-recording of it, I'll make sure that you get a copy and it goes out.
Awesome.
There's a couple of people that were interested into recording it with us because there's the couple of band members that really just aren't able to play on it anymore. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, it's just Wally and I talking and deciding we're going to do it. And hopefully, we do it before my voice goes. Because right now, I think I can still sing it. Back, 5 years ago when we did the reunion thing, it felt like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I hadn't sang in 20 some years, and I was like, I still got this. All right, good deal. So, well, I thank you so much for your time, sir.
It was a blast, man.
It's
good
been
to catch up with
awesome
you.
just chatting and learning more and more and more.
Likewise.
That's the whole reason I do it. So thank you so much for coming out.
Cheers, man.
All right.
Good hanging.
Mr. Tom Crixton, thank you so much for
Mr.
watching.
John Magnuson.